The Chicago Bears are back on primetime this week in Week 11 against the Los Angeles Rams. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some Bears. And here to give you guys my preview and my prediction for the Bears' upcoming matchup against the LA Rams. But before I do so, if you're new to the channel, welcome, guys. Thank you, everybody who is tuning in. I really appreciate it, man. If you guys could go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below, that helps me out a lot for you guys to be able to support the channel. And really go ahead and turn on my bell notifications, because I do post a lot of content on the channel every single week. You don't want to miss out, so go ahead and click the bell icon below to be notified every time I drop a new video. And man, while you're at it, guys, go ahead and follow me on my social media links down below and on the screen for my Twitter and my Instagram and all that good stuff. You guys can reach out to me, ask me questions, debate, whatever it is. I'm here for you guys. But without further ado, we've got a football game to talk about between the Bears and the Rams this week. I have a lot to say, so let's get started. So if I had told you the Rams and the Bears were going to be third in their division by the time Week 11 rolls around, you probably wouldn't believe me, but that is exactly where we are, okay? Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on whose side you are on, for both of these teams, okay? The Rams are 5-4, coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Bears are 4-5, coming off a victory against the Detroit Lions. So, like I mentioned, they are both third in their division right now. And so both of these teams have been, a disappointment this year in terms of the expectations they had, both as previous division winners last year, and the Rams, of course, winning the NFC West and the Bears winning the NFC North. So they also faced off last year, if you guys remember that, and the Bears came out victorious in that matchup. It was in Chicago, though, and Soldier Field on a very frigid day during the winter time. And this time, it's not going to be in Chicago. It's going to be in LA. That is right. It's the home game for the Rams. And before I get into my full, keys for the game, let me just talk about a couple of quick numbers here. So it's a 41.5 point over under, which is very low. I'm surprised it's that low. I know the Bears offense hasn't really put up a lot of points, but my God, 41.5. And the Rams are favored in this game by 7 points. That is crazy to me. The Rams, who have been fairly disappointing this year, are getting favored by an entire touchdown by Vegas. Okay, now usually I trust Vegas, and Vegas has obviously made a lot of money doing what they do, but this is a little weird to me, because if we take a look at this Rams team, folks, they, again, with the 5 wins, who have they beaten? Okay, they beat the Panthers in Week 1 by 3 points, okay? Then they beat the Saints without Drew Brees. Drew Brees got hurt, okay? So I shouldn't say without, I should say when Drew Brees got hurt. That was the week where he had the injury. Then they beat the Cleveland Browns, which we all know now are not as good as advertised we thought before the year. Then they beat the Falcons and the Bengals, 2 teams that have been very bad this year. So the 5 wins that the Steelers have had are not very impressive, okay? And they're just coming off a loss against a Pittsburgh Steelers team, which is a good defensive team. But again, they're starting a rookie quarterback in Mason Rudolph, and the Rams couldn't beat them, okay? So to me, again, I'm very surprised that the spread here is 7 in favor of the Rams. You guys can probably tell the direction I'm leaning. I don't like that, okay? So with that being said, let's talk about the keys here for the Bears and what they need to do in order to win this game. So when I take a look at the keys here, I always tend to focus on the weaknesses for the opponent for which the Bears are playing, right? So try to exploit whether or not they're deficient in one area or multiple, whether it's a run funnel, pass funnel, do they have a bad offensive line? Is their secondary weak? What is it? And with this Rams team, they're interesting because they're 17th best against the pass, 5th best against the rush, so certainly stronger at stopping the run than they are stopping the pass. And I believe you can throw on this Rams team. Now, again, some of these numbers aren't updated for the fact that, or they haven't taken into account the fact that Jalen Ramsey just got there. I mean, it's only been a few weeks. But he hasn't been the Jalen Ramsey that we've known in terms of, being the shutdown corner that he is. I mean, he's still good, but he hasn't been, that impressive. So to me, you can throw on this team, folks. Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put up 55 points on this Rams defense. So you can certainly throw on them. It's funny, though, last week I tell the Bears, you have to run against the Lions. They're the worst against the run. And David Montgomery, rushed the ball 17 times for 60 yards. We end up winning that game because Mitch Trubisky threw three touchdowns through the air. He had his best game of the year. So, again, we can say that here, but am I going to be totally surprised if, we're able to run on them versus pass? No. It's not like a complete funnel here with the Rams, okay? That's basically what I'm trying to say. But if you had to pick, you probably want to be able to move the ball through the air than through the ground with this Rams team, which has a pretty stout defensive line here. So that is definitely the first key here for the Bears. And key number 2 is, of course, pressure on one Jared Goff, who is a standing duck in the pocket, folks. I have a stat here for you guys, okay? If you guys see this right here with Jared Goff and what he's done this year, okay? A lot of people tend to think Jared Goff is just a lot better than a lot of quarterbacks. This year hasn't been very impressive, and I'm a Jared Goff fan. 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Mitch Trubisky, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, okay? Jared Goff does this in 9 games. Mitch Trubisky does this in 8 games. Now, again, both numbers aren't very impressive here, but point being is Mitch Trubisky has caught a lot of flack this year for his play or lack thereof, and it's been fair. But Jared Goff barely has caught any flack. I mean, he's been horrid, okay? 11 TDs and 9 interceptions, folks. That is awful. I mean, that's awful, okay? So Jared Goff just got paid, I believe, $110 million guaranteed this past offseason, folks. And nobody blinked an eye because the Rams went to the Super Bowl last year. And this is why I continue to tell you guys, finding a quarterback in this league is very difficult. And so there's only about, a handful of guys here. The rest of the teams, they make it work with what they got, okay? So it's more so about what you're able to, mold out of your quarterback, okay? And that's why, like I said, people have been on Mitch Trubisky. I've been on him too, saying that he needs to play better. Finally showed up and showed out last week, which you love to see, but my God, Jared Goff has been awful, and you can get pressure on him. That is what the Steelers did last week. I love that game plan. Steelers basically, they didn't do much on offense. It was a low-scoring game. I believe they won 17-12. They literally just stopped the Rams' offense. And again, I'm a little worried about the Bears defensively because, we haven't been the same defense since Akeem Hicks went down, and we might not have Danny Trevathan this week, but I need the D-line to put some pressure on them. I really do, and that's for me one of the biggest keys here. And then offensively, I want Mitch to continue this. Obviously, I'd love that. And I do believe you can exploit this team, like I mentioned, through the air. So I'm hoping Mitch builds on the success that he had last week against Detroit. But it's prime time, folks. It is in the national spotlight. So that is sometimes, obviously, where Mitch Trubisky has not performed well. But if there was ever a time where you needed the Mitch to play good, it's on prime time. It's on prime time, and that's a straight up how it is, because Mitch Trubisky has not shown up for the majority of the season to play very well. He did so last week. I hope he can build on it. I believe he's got the opportunity to, and I believe you can attack this team through the air, as multiple other teams have shown. So what is my final prediction for this game? I'll be honest, folks. There's a lot of things working against the Bears here, okay? We're on the road, prime time, where the Bears haven't really played too well. You're playing up against a team that, again, even though they've been fairly overrated this year, they did go to the Super Bowl last year. And the Bears have been fairly disappointing, and, your defense is a little compromised at this point. So a lot of things working against the Bears, but I just have a feeling here, folks, that the Bears somehow, some way, are able to pull this out. Yes, that's right. I am picking the Bears to win this game against the Rams. I'm doing it. I just feel like this might be the game where Mitch Trubisky breaks through his, primetime jitters, whatever you want to call it. This might be the game he does it, folks, because again, if not now, when? There's not really too much pressure on this Bears team because, again, for the most part, I mean, the Packers are going to win the division. So at this point, Mitch Trubisky just trying to keep his job and save his job. So I don't see a lot of pressure on the Bears. I see more pressure on the Rams. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, if the Rams, lost to the Bears last year, it's going to be a revenge game for them. Folks, we lost to the Eagles last year in the playoffs. We didn't really do anything against them. We lost to them again this season. So I think that's a little overrated. As long as, we're able to put pressure on, Jared Goff, who's going to be without Brandon Cooks this week, and he's going to be without, I believe, 2 of the starting linemen, and we're able to do, be just competent on offense, I think we can pull this out. My final score for this game is 23-20. The Bears win on a field goal last second. That's where I'm at, folks. Let me know what you guys think. Who will win this game between the Bears and the Rams? I don't think the Rams are as good as people think they are, and I think the Bears can pull this out. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree, as always. Thanks for watching.